Pretty sure they have Gambit ult, right?
Yeah, they do. I can try an ult for.
I think we might need to just like lose the fight and then just go out with your ult afterwards. Honestly.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
Just like be prepared when the Gambit. Yeah, when the Gambit ults, just like everyone turn around and run away. Okay, we'll just kite us back as much as we can. Now, run.
Back up. Try to die. You don't die. Oh, my bird dead is. Fine, they haven't even captured it yet. We're
yeah.
Again!
We have time. This is actually not bad.
Don't do damage, actually. Don't do any damage. Let it push up. Don't do any damage. Let it push up. Until we push up together.
Take, on the left side, is it?
Alright, let's go. No first. No.
Pocket the Punisher.
My favorite
You got one picker in it.
the god of thunder! Gambit never falls!
Rogue low.
Get the Thor. Thor's still low. Oh, good shit, guys. Yeah, sorry, I don't really play Gambit, but it worked out. Also, yeah, thanks for going with my play. Like, kite back. Don't use any ults. Don't use ults. We're gonna die here intentionally, okay? Okay, now we're gonna come back out and we'll ult in return. Just no. Just run. Walk, everyone. Walk away. Do not die right now. Just let that run out. I will ult first, and then after I ult, then we engage. Okay? Dive in the backline in 3, 2.
Dude, I got enough.
There you go. Just like that. Strategy, my friends. Strategies. GG's.
3, 2, 1.
There is a strategy in hero shooters that might seem opposite to what you might be used to. In hero shooters, there are times where you want to lose fights so that way you can set yourself up better for the next one. Because most shooters revolve around how well each team can aim, hero shooters add another layer of complexity on top of that with resource management and ult management. And there are times in the game where you are low on resources and low on ultimates, that using what few ultimates you have in a bad fight will only set you up worse for the next one. Typically, if you want to bait your enemy into one of these situations, you would call it a dry push, which is you engage on the enemy and you fake like you're making a play and let them blow as many ultimates as they can during that fight, so that way when you come back for the next one, you can just ult dump them and win. And the two examples I showed you at the start of this video were 2 games back to back where right at the end, I noticed we still had a lot of space left on the cart. We were set up in a pretty bad position with time running out. And instead of letting my team autopilot their way and end up blowing resources that we would need if there was ever a second fight, I helped lead my team to victory by coming up with a strategy that we all agree on. The reason why this strategy also works so well, because of the fact that the convoy on both games were so far away from the checkpoint that I knew that we had time to lose a fight. So I'm just going to quickly hop into both games and show you the events leading up to that final fight and why I made the decisions that I did. You can see here in this game, both teams are running triple support. The enemy team is about to have 6 ultimates, and my team is about to have 5. And to make it worse, instead of having an Invis Woman as well, we have a Jeff. Invis Woman ult is a lot easier to get value out of, and Jeff ult is very unreliable. So that all being said, we're going to jump into this and we're going to see how it all plays out. As you saw, our Star-Lord started the domino effect of ultimates going off. They used the Cloak and Dagger ult, so our Cloak and Dagger had to counter ult. Rogue tried to chase me down with hers, and with their invis and thing ulting at the same time, I had to ult in order to make sure that we won that team fight. And right at the end, when it seems like the fight is won, we still end up losing our Jeff ult. Either way, I don't think it really would have mattered too much. So going into the next team fight, I knew that they were going to have the Gambit ult for sure. And I know that even if they didn't have the Bucky ult, the Gambit ult alone would probably be enough to wipe us, even if we tried to counter with Punisher ult. Because realistically, there's going to be no way to try and sustain through the damage of Gambit ult, not without having some sort of support ult to back it up. So instead of wasting our valuable Punisher ult, I convinced him to save it for the very next fight. Thing is really close to his ult, and Star-Lord is really close to his again as well because of the Gambit ult. And I know that even if we end up losing a few people, the rest of us can still kite back far enough that we can buy enough time for them to respawn because the card still has a way to go before it finally reaches its final point. And mind you, my experience on Gambit also isn't that great. I've tried practicing a few times in quick play and only busted him out a couple of times in ranked when I had to. Even though I'm not a great Gambit player though, I can still win through strategy and ult management. And now we'll see how the rest of the game plays out.
Never fall. I'm good to go.
Only 60 seconds left.
Armed and dangerous. Again. My guard's down. Again. Just to boost that.
We'd already started a player down because Jeff got a couple of kills with his ultimate. And as we started to run away, we lost a couple of our teammates, but because of the fact that the rest of us didn't stagger even harder, we were able to meet them at the entrance of our spawn. Now when you look up at the ults at the top of the screen, we have quite a few offensive ultimates going back into this fight. And while the enemy team is getting close to theirs, we still have a numbers advantage just in terms of the ult economy on top of them. So as long as we don't press all of our ultimates at the exact same time, we're probably going to win this ult exchange. In these moments too, if you are a DPS player and you already have your ultimate, you need to be careful and think about the damage that you're shooting at the enemy because you could still end up charging the support ultimates and helping them counter against you. It's a tough balancing act trying to pick between applying pressure but also not give the enemy ult charge. But right now in this moment, we're going to walk up, we're going to play it slow, and now we're going to engage with the Punisher ult that we were able to save. The moment that Punisher ults, both me and Jeff immediately go to pocketing him. Remember, when an ally in your team is ulting, you want to give them support and back them up because in that moment, they're the win condition.
The god of thunder. Gambit never fall. Back to my best. Now you do the same for me, we. You know you had that coming.
And just like that, we were able to win the game. Because of the fact that me and some of my teammates decided to kite backwards, we were able to stay alive longer, which also meant that we were able to continuously charge our ults. Playing to live gives you advantages and that you can get more damage out, more healing out, and more ult charge. This made us so going back into the fight, we were able to open up with the Punisher ult and with the Thing ult, and even though they countered with the support ult, we still had one more DPS ult on top of that with Star-Lord to help secure a lot of those last picks. And even though I was about to die at the end, because of the fact that I played to live and I was alive for so long, I was able to get my ultimate at the very last second in a very clutch moment. Not having much time to think about it, I just threw the ult out there, and luckily my team was able to take advantage of it. The strategy worked as well as it did because instead of just going into the next fight autopiloting, I thought ahead to what the enemy's plan was going to be and wanted to counter against it. I already knew there was no way for us to win that fight. Or on domination maps where the enemy's cap percentage isn't very high, you have time in those situations to sometimes intentionally lose fights to enter into the next one better. Hero shooters are not about aim alone. It's all about how you manage those resources. Now we'll jump into the second game and I'll show you my thought process on that one as well. This game will be real simple. On Central Park on the second point, we were doing really well at holding the convoy down near their spawn. Normally, in order to get the convoy up to capture that second point, you need to win 2 team fights. This is one of the best scenarios in which you can easily intentionally lose a fight and just ult dump and win them in the next one.
That hurt me up. I like the cold. Get that vehicle moving again. Just embrace the light.
The moment my Iron Fist dies is the moment I decide that we should just lose this next fight. Because while it's possible that we might be able to win a 5v6, it's not really worth the chance. We're already down a player, and it was our DPS who was closest to their ultimate. And I know that all of us, with the exception of Doctor Strange, are getting very close to charging their ultimates. So I make sure to tell my team, don't use any of your ultimates, just lose this fight because we have plenty of time.
The final 10 seconds.
The moment I hear the enemy Punisher ult, I know they made a huge mistake, because I knew that there was no way that he's going to be able to secure any kills from that if my team just kites away from it and gives up space. Plenty of space, which by the way, we were able to give up for free, because I knew all we needed to do was take a solid team fight as 6 of us in overtime. And I tell my team, I know the enemy has support ults, so let me go in there and ult first and then engage after me. And remember, when you are engaging first as the tank, call out your dives and tell them 3, 2, 1.
Behold the god of thunder!
Against the world. Do that again sometime.
Happy now, can't you? I'm opening a portal.
And just like that, another win. Even though they were able to get off one of their support ults, they didn't have any DPS ults to really provide any damage. And with me applying pressure to the Invis woman and her not getting inside of the Cloak and Dagger ult, I was able to siphon away her ult and help secure the pick on her so they couldn't extend the fight any longer. This made it real easy, so that way all my team had to do was literally press Q at the exact same time to wipe them quickly. In most situations, you want to try and stagger your enemies as much as possible. Team wipes in the game are less valuable than staggering your enemies. But in overtime, it's a great time to ult dump and completely wipe the enemy team out, because if you wipe them out all at the exact same time, no one can TP back. And because we didn't waste any of our ultimates before this, and we saw that we were already at a disadvantage and didn't want to take any chances, we just lose the fight, pull out ultimates, regroup as 6, and come back and take a safer fight. Managing your resources is a huge part of this game, especially when it comes to tracking ultimates and helping guide your team to success by letting them know what plan you think you should do. Because a lot of people will go into each fight autopiloting on their own, but if you become the in-game leader and you can look ahead and see what's going to happen before it happens, you can help guide your team to victory. Because ultimates are so powerful, misusing even a single one could be the reason why you win or lose a team fight. So if you have good game sense and good knowledge of strategy, you can lead your team to victory just by leading. I'm not the kind of player that's going to get MVP or SVP very often, but I still win a lot of my games, and I believe it's due to the fact that I track a lot of these resources and I help guide my team to victory. It's very easy to look at someone who has raw mechanical skill like aiming and see the strength and value in that player, but training up your game sense is equally as valuable. It's hard because it's not as overt of a skill as mechanical aiming, but good game sense and strategy will carry you a very long way, probably more than raw mechanical skill will alone. Anyway, that's all I've got for this very quick lesson. I hope it was educational and gave you a new way to think about the game, and I hope you realize that sometimes in these games, some fights are good to lose, because your objective is to win the game, not win every single team fight. Anyway, that's all I've got for now, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching.